Okay, recording started. Perfect. So this is basically what we did so far. We created a new Shopify account, and to prove that it's new, this is like we haven't touched it yet. We haven't added a product. We haven't done anything. So we wanted to do everything with you guys and take you just a little bit behind the scenes of what we're doing when we build stores. And then we noticed just like once we were planning this out, and we ourselves realized there's so many things that we're doing that it could potentially feel a little fast, or some sections might feel a little fast. But I think there's like a lot of good stuff we want to cover. So we're gonna have like a pretty aggressive pace in some of the areas. But again, just raise your hand or just put in the chat, friends reading the first part while doing the design portion. But yeah, I'm super excited to do this. We just mentioned we created our beautiful brand. This is our logo, Hazelware. Wow, what a crazy name. We're gonna be selling shirts and a tote bag. The tote bag that we're selling, we already have images here. These are rendered. I'm gonna show you in a second how we actually got those. And then we also have the t-shirts. And this is just the pattern that we have. So this is all we know so far. The brand we're building is Hazelware or Hazel. We're going to sell a t-shirt. We're going to sell a tote bag. We're actually going to fulfill them ourselves. So this is not a print-on-demand store or a dropshipping store, or logistically not a dropshipping business. This will be our own brand, just so we can basically take you through all the steps. No automations, no integrations necessary. Everything that we're going to build, you can replicate. And that's also like part of our goal with this. Like if you want to follow along, feel free to duplicate a theme. And I'll show you how to do it. Like if you can use your actual store for this. And if you go to these sales channels, like it's not even pinned. It's so fresh. I haven't seen a super fresh store in a while. So this is great to see. So this is how your store might look if you're really starting brand new. And then if you want to follow along, you can just add a theme. And that's also what we're going to do first. So this is where we left off. This is what's really important for us when we start building something, is we want to kind of get like a sense of what is the brand about, what is the theme that we're going for. Is it something happy? It's like what's the mood for it? And a lot of it we find in the color choices. So this is something we rendered. This is the tote bag that we're going to sell. We're all wonderful, and we rendered some of these images. And this is also why we wanted to go with wearables or clothing or accessories in this case, because there's a service called Playset where you can render all of these things. I'm going to show you in a second. But I would say let's start with picking a theme. So this is what we want to go for. Kind of young, bright, friendly, something that's like this. It has to feel like a brand. It shouldn't be just like white with some things. Like we want to go for like a brand feel. So let's pick a store or a theme. I'm not going to use the Dawn theme, just so you guys can follow along. I'm going to go to the theme store. And this is now we might enter the section where things might just happen really quick. And we don't even know if this is where you guys are standing. So just say stop when we're moving too fast. This is a Shopify theme store. If you haven't seen it yet, there's also a third-party theme store like Theme Forest, and I think technically there's even like third-party marketplaces we can purchase themes. I wouldn't recommend those. I know Fran hates them even more than I do. But
You just never know.
we've seen a lot of themes. They look beautiful when you buy them, and then you install them, switch to a mobile view, and then things just start breaking. And we ourselves used to use them. We had clients approach us saying, hey, everything looks fine, just the checkout isn't working. And it took us sometimes like days to fix it with like heavily custom code. So usually I would always say stick to one of the Shopify themes. If you're starting out, like you'll see a ton of themes in the paid section. I would usually say go with the free ones. We're going to go with the free one. It's always a safe choice to go with Dawn. If you've been working with Shopify for a little longer, you might still have the stigma of Dawn being like this very basic theme. Everyone knew Dawn. It was a thing where back in the days, and that's probably 4 or 5 years ago, if you built a store and you used Dawn, people just didn't purchase from it because it felt like it was like the cheap, effortless version. They improved it so much when Shopify did an upgrade to the 2.0 version of their entire infrastructure. And now Dawn is so customizable that it actually became our weapon of choice for most of the themes. So Dawn's a really solid pick, always works. And then they have like the obvious different ones. If you're obviously if you're more leaning towards something like the studio theme, you just get a lot of things out of the box, a lot of the styling. Crave is a beautiful one. That used to be more of the paid styling. Now you actually get those for free. I think for our purpose, this doesn't really work. That's what I like to do is usually I go in and they all have a demo store, and I like viewing the demo store. And when we analyze the themes, I wouldn't go too much by the size of the images and all of this, because that's something that's every theme kind of can have things like this. That's not too unique. What's more unique is the layout here. The two images side by side. Okay, interesting. Usually it's text with image. That's nice. That's nice with a button in here. So you want to see what sections are they featuring, and in terms of layout, how does it differ from just like the standard layout of image with text? This is more standard now. This is cool. I think very crafty. It's definitely showing the hard work that went into the product. We didn't put any hard work into our product, so this is, I think, overkill. Also, always a good thing for us when we pick a theme is just to see, do we have the content for it? Like this, all the themes look really nice in the preview, but once you import them and you realize I don't have the product photos for it, they all look pretty bad, pretty fast. So this, nothing for us. Go back to the themes. I go with the free ones. I think what could work out, Dawn, obviously, that could always work. What I really like is the taste one for us, just because it goes in a direction. And there's also a good example, just because they're featuring drinks doesn't mean that you have to use it for drinks. That's also something we realize when people look for themes, they just sort by what's your industry. And I kind of like just playing creatively, saying what something just matches the theme of something. I like the taste a lot. It's clean. The image is colorful. We're gonna do a little bit different, but all right, let's pick taste. I'm gonna click on try theme. Amazing, it's loading. Need to wait until it finishes, and then we're actually gonna publish it first. And this is, you can see the store is password protected. If you're following along and you have a live store, please don't press publish. Otherwise, it will actually be the live version. I'm just going to do it for demonstration's sake. But yeah, we're going to publish it. And the only reason why we do the publish, I'm going to click customize, is because I want to show you in a second that we can create page templates, and that only works for the publish theme. But yeah, you don't need to worry about this. So this is what we're seeing right now. Shopify did a nice change. They removed the gray boxes, and now gray boxes with at least like a little bit of splash of color. So that's good. I think that's also roughly what we want to go for. I think now it's time to get good images. I need the community. All right, for the images, I actually first want to show you how we created those renderings, because all we had is this pattern. And this is why we wanted to use the wearables, because if you have this, there's fantastic tools nowadays out there that actually can generate you rendered images, and you can save a lot of money on product photography. You can also, the time is just incredible. Like if you have just a pattern like this, you can actually have something look professional in probably, I'm going to show you, probably 5 minutes. So the service that we like using is called Placeit. You want to write in the chat maybe too?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna send the link to everyone.
It's placeit.net. Just gonna wait for Fran to send it. All right, I'm gonna download the pattern. Okay, I'm loving this so much. Now this site is such a secret, and and I'm always excited seeing them adding new things. For example, something we just discovered today, they now have TikTok videos, and what they do is it's basically a mock-up generator. So you can now say, and I'm going to show you actually, we need images for our t-shirts. We have those. We have the totes, and we basically want to have something that matches kind of this visual, just for t-shirts. And I don't have anything. I only have the logo. Let's see, t-shirt mock-up. Okay, and you can see now these images are basically mock-ups. So we can now drop our image in there, see something that matches our vibe. I want some color. We found this earlier. I think this is good. So you can now see this is basically a template placeholder where you get the image like this. I'm just going to show you how you can actually customize it once it's loaded. So this is what we get. See, our logo's already in there, but that's our tote bag. We don't want a tote bag. We want upload from your device. We want our t-shirt pattern. You can see now we have our t-shirt here. It's a white font, so I'm just going to switch it to black. So we're going to be selling probably this. Black maybe a little aggressive. Should we go with the pink?
Pink is cute.
This one? Let's match the background color too. Can we change that? Oh, we can even change this. Okay, this is ridiculous. Like, you can actually change things around. And we can use it as product photography. I'm going to stick with this one just because it's simple. That's all we want. It's easy to go nuts and have too much. But I think this is funny. And we can press downloads. And now this actually looks like we did a photo shoot with our actual t-shirt design. So these mock-up generators are incredible. There's tools for many different variety of products. So it's not necessarily just the tote bags, the t-shirts. I know it's in the digital services,
Mugs. There's
coffee
so
mugs nowadays, and they're adding things to it. I think jewelry I've seen before too. I don't know if it's in place in, but there are so many things you can now do with these mock-ups. And I saw a video the other day where they had a 3D version of their product, and then you can have like very, very crazy versions of these mock-ups. So you can save a ton. Like, if you don't have product images, instead of just getting a photographer, see if you can do the mock-ups first. Long term, once you actually build out your brand, I would always recommend getting your own product images taken. But this is like, you don't want to wait weeks to get good images. And also, if you don't have good images, I think that's something we noticed too, is like, images make or break your store. Like, if you have a beautifully designed store, but your images aren't really consistent, then that just basically takes away from all of your design. And so we always want to have something that's really clean and that kind of is like cohesive with all the other products you're selling. Okay, now we have this random name, t-shirt mockup setting. It's a PNG, and I just want to share quickly how we can actually change the image size of and I think it's really important because now with SEO, and that's coming up more and more, it's super important to get the basics right. And SEO now, if you like, SEO is Google search engine optimization. It's basically a ranking of how Google places you, or where they place you on the list when someone Googles for something specific. Let's say smile t-shirt, and then they're gonna scrape all of the websites, and they're gonna determine a ranking of each site based on relevancy. And something they changed is, it used to be all keywords, and you might remember stores just basically saying t-shirt, 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 and it used to work. Nowadays it doesn't. It's now they have a relevancy score. And what feeds into the score is also the site speed. So now it's site speed is almost more important than just keywords. And I think the biggest drawback from site speed are the apps or unnecessary Shopify apps, just because JavaScript and everything has to load when the site loads. But I think the biggest one is image size. And this is something we can get an easy win just by having a good image name, and also by having the correct image size. So what you don't want to do as a reference is, we don't want to have a PNG image. We only want to use a PNG if it's, oh, you can't even see
we
my,
don't see
oh, you
our,
can see.
the folder, but I think you can resize it here too. So
I can technically resize it here, but I think I can only crop it here. But I'm going to show it in here. So we have, I think I have a note here too. Like usually you don't want to use a PNG unless it has a transparency to it. So for example, if it's a logo and we remove the background, so it's only font, PNG is the file to go. Otherwise, we either want to use the JPEG or the WEBP, WebP. That's a new format. It's a type of JPEG, just like compressed even more, and it loads differently. So that's usually what Shopify prefers. And there's this image converter that I think Fran's going to share the link. And what it allows us to do is we can now say we have a PNG. Oh, first, I'm actually going to make it smaller. You probably won't see this. Let me actually share everything. That might be easier. Okay, now you can see it. Just checking on Fran's screen. Perfect. So now you can see it's 4 megabytes and it's also PNG. So these are the two red flags we're looking for. It's like we don't want the PNG and we don't want the MBs. MBs are usually really bad. And then we can, if you're a Mac, you can easily just adjust it. You can say under tools and then adjust size. And as a reference, it's like if you present something full screen, you know it's going to be a full screen banner. I would always say the width should never be more than, say, roughly 2,000 pixels. For us, it's just going to be a product image. So I'm going to cap it to the height is never going to be more than 1,000 pixels. And there's multiple tools out there that does that. So this is just the easiest way for me. So first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the image size just isn't incredible. We have the 1 MB, still a lot, but that's also coming from the PNG. So now we want to make the PNG. I can select here images, and then there should be a PNG version somewhere, probably under what's the order? PNG to WEBP, WebP. Let's upload the mockup, convert, and let's see how he compresses it. Okay, now you can see we basically have the size and still have the same, I'm just downloading it, and still have the same quality. So this is a huge gain for us in page load speed, especially if you have multiple products with multiple images and multiple variants, and then eventually you have hundreds of products. Especially if your homepage is really long, it's such a difference. And if your page just takes a second too long to load, this can basically butcher your entire Google search score. So this is the first thing we can do is get the image files right. And now the second thing we want to do is we want to actually rename the asset just so it reflects something that's that people can search, because assets are going to be ranked by Google. So if someone were to search for whatever reason, they're searching Hazelwear and smile t-shirt, and Google might actually recommend our shirt first. Or I mean, if there's some other bigger brand having the exact same shirt with Hazelwear, then they're going to recommend theirs. But this is an easy way for us to get the first traffic, to get a boost on search engine optimization and all of that. So let's go back into our store. And I think it's time. Should we? Actually, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to upload our logo. Let's download the logo first. And this is now a PNG, and this is already named. It's basically all we want to say. It's Hazelwear, and it's a logo. It's a PNG. It's really small. Make sure when you do the logos, and a designer, if you're working with a designer, they might give you these huge files, especially if they're working with Photoshop, because it has to look on a printed screen, not on the website. And make sure you have a small PNG. And PNG in this case is important because we want to have the transparency around it. And it's some of the things, if you have a store and, for example, you change the background color of the store and you're realizing it has maybe a white border around it, that's usually the case when you use a JPEG. So just make sure your logo is actually a PNG, and then everything should look good. I don't like this too much. How about you, Fran? Should we move it to the middle? Like this is,
Sure.
let's see, where was it? Desktop logo position. Top center, I think could be good. Yep, this one I like more.
That's nice.
Okay. Then the next thing what we usually do is we want to choose fonts and colors. It's as like a design primer. It's usually always a bad practice to use dark blacks, like the clean 000 black, and bright whites, just like the Fs. So usually want to go in here, change the colors a little bit. I think we can, since we have the color in the product images, I would keep the basic colors the same. Let's stick with a white tone. I think it sets a scheme 1. It's not even a clean white already. That's perfect. That's I think something Shopify improved. It used to be clean whites. They're doing everything right now. Even the text, you can see it's not a clean black. Clean black would be, I'm just gonna select it. Should be a clean black, and it just gets too hard on the eyes. You want to have an off black. All right, we got those. So there's not much we have to change in colors. If you want to play around with colors, there's a site called Coolers. Fran's probably gonna send in the chat. And colors are the thing that can also make or break a store. I think it's the colors, the fonts, and the product images are usually the things we want to, especially everything that lands on the homepage. You definitely want to be super careful with that. There's so much to say about colors. I think the most important thing I want to say about colors is use this generator. It's very easy to get a color wrong and then the wrong color, and it just doesn't match well. It can be really aggressive on the eyes and off-putting. So what this page has developed is just trending palettes. So you can either explore those, what people are liking, or you can even say, hey, you know what? I don't really like those. I don't have any ideas. So maybe you already have a color you want to start with. Then they also have this generator. And then instead of you having to, I think it's figure out one of 16 million colors, possible colors, you just say, this pink I want to have. And then you only press the space bar, and it's going to keep recommending you other colors until you like them. So very easy to pick colors. You want to grab this hex code, just click it, grab the code, go back to Shopify. And then in the color section, you see your color schemes now. In here, you can just replace it. Click on it, replace it. Let's say the text. Is it the wrong one? Let's go with an aggressive pink. I'm not going to do this, but this is how it would work. You click out of it and everything would be pink. So this is something Shopify changed. It's super cool. I like it a lot. Just make sure you don't go overboard with the colors. Use the color picker. And I feel like, especially up until you probably, once you have a designer that built your deck, you might want to actually explore other color options. But to get started, perfectly fine. All right, what's the next thing we want to do? We have the colors. Usually the next thing I like to do is fonts. It's in the same setting in typography. What's a lot of mistake I keep seeing people, or we keep seeing people making a lot, is they want to go super custom. Like they want to have a font like we have in our logo, and it's a big design choice. The problem is if you want to use custom fonts, Shopify doesn't support all the fonts out of the box. So here you have a selection. It's a subset of Google fonts, and it's not too much, but I would always stick to some of those fonts. And if you want to go with a custom font, the problem is we would need to add it via code. And the problem with the code is there are some fonts that just are spaced differently, and eventually you run into funky issues where your headings might not even be a full line height, and it's just things might get crammed, things might overlap. So there's a lot of things to get wrong with fonts, but I think in the beginning, all we want to do, we want to have a nice heading. We can basically use the default here, but we want to have a nice heading, something that's bold, usually without serifs. See a sans serif maybe. So there's like, you can preview the choices here. I think for ours, it's more playful. Let's just go without doing too much research.
Also, your themes will come with different fonts from the get-go. So depending on the style you pick, they will look different, but you always have the option to change your fonts.
Okay, with Shiva maybe. And then for the body font, this is usually always one you can already see. It's like they go with like a more robotic, more tech looking. It's usually a best practice just to say I'm either want to go sans serif or mono. You want to have something that's very easy to read. I wouldn't go artsy in the body font because most of the text is going to be body font. We want to keep it clean. We want to keep it minimal. See, Namiri might already be too much. I kind of like it. It's definitely smaller. All right, let's go with those. So these are the first things we wanna change. Always hit save. We've lost a lot of changes due to not saving in between. Yeah, and I think now we have products to create. In the file, you can see in the drive, you can see a file with the product descriptions, product title, all of that. So I think it's time should we just create a product and connect it to our store?
Let's do it.
Do you have two open? Yeah. Okay, this is back in the dashboard. I'm just going to refresh real quick so we see it. I'm going to keep the customizer open, so I'm just switching tabs back to the dashboard. This is our taste. Usually what we like to do is also just rename it if it's a certain feature. I mean, we're always going to call it Hazel. And then this is a V1, just so we know in the future when we're working on a new version, we just don't want to have 12 copies of Dawn, and then eventually you just don't realize what was the difference between those. So this is V1. We don't have anything else. Let's create products. This is, I think, for all the print on demands and drop shippers, find products to sell. That's not us. We have our products. So we're just going to create a new one. And we gave it a title that I forgot. Let's see. I think we just call it, oh, wow. We're all wonderful tote bag. What a crazy name. And here there might be a couple of questions, or if you already have questions for it, this might be a lot. So I'm going to try to explain while we walk through it. But if we miss something, obviously just jump in. There might, like, depending on what you're selling as well, it just might require different things. But title, we just want to keep it clean. We want to keep it short. I usually would advise not to have any variant information in there. So if you have a color, I wouldn't call it yellow tote bag. We just want to have this is the bag, and this is what type of bag. And in this case, our print says we're all wonderful. So that was what goes into the title. I'm just going to save so we don't lose it. Description we have in here. I think this we can actually make a meta field. The theme supports. Let's see. And for the description, it's what we did with this. Like, we usually want to keep the description super short. We want to keep the description just like very actionable as well. It's like we see a lot of clients sometimes just like overly use the text to fill descriptions. We want to keep them on brand and just be like very descriptive, just saying, hey, here's the product. Let the images do the sellings. Like, we don't want to necessarily convince them in the description, be like, this is the most important thing you need. Just call out what's the difference, and then do the rest with the images, do the rest with the recommended collections, and just like the features of your store. And it's just a little bit off-putting. We realize also in metrics that people just drop out or don't read. It's in general, that's a principle we realized in digital, is people definitely don't read. We always think wouldn't it be easy if we just make it bold? But no one actually reads. Everyone's just browsing, so we want to keep it short. And if you see a large block of text, people actually never just start reading the text. They just see it and they just skip it. So keep it short. And the section below, I'm just going to check if the theme supports these meta fields. But I feel like let's add the images next. We're doing the tote. And all these images are just coming from Placeit. So it's the same service we used for the t-shirts. And they had the backgrounds. You can change the backgrounds. The funny thing with her was, I think we definitely were able to change this color. I'm trying to remember if we were even able to change her like pant color and top, but we can definitely, the cardigan, we can actually change on the site. It's crazy. Media, let's add some files, unzip it. Right, and those are still JPEGs. Again, now we want to have the web piece. I'm going to go in here. I want to convert more files. Let me just use all the files. And those we already gave a Google optimized name, Hazelware tote bag. And then We're All Wonderful is going to be in the description just because that's what's on it. And then just the number. All right, maybe we're just going to do 2 for demo's sake. Don't want to sign up for the service now. You can already see like they're even halving. It's the same size, the same image size, and yet they have the image size. Like the not the size in terms of pixel, but the resolution. So we get half the size. The side speed would be double fast in terms of media. And we still have the same resolution. Okay, the first 2 images, the others I'm just going to import as PNGs for simplicity's sake. What do we get now? We have this and this.
Someone had a question about the images. So basically, you can just drag and drop your images into the media box, or you click and then select it from your folder. But in general, you can just drag and drop. So you download it from the converter and then re-upload it into Shopify. So it's just a drag and drop. But I think you selected it, right? You selected it and then it opened your folder.
Yeah, you can. Like here's the option. This field would be the same. So like you can, if you click it, it's actually gonna open your local folder. Or you can also do it, if that's easier, you can just grab it from your Finder and then just drag it here, and it's gonna upload it as well. In this case, I'm gonna delete it to duplicate, and then Shaquala is saying, so once you go on these sites, you save it, then load it to Shopify. Correct. You wanna, once like you use the services in between, you want to modify the data, always download it, and then you want to upload it to Shopify. There's so many different types of services nowadays out there for image resizing, for certain tools like the generation. So you can play around with your images, save them, finalize them on your laptop or on your computer, and then once you're finalized, just upload them to Shopify. But there is no real good app that just does it for you. I know they've been trying to do it, but so far, that's something we have to do ourselves. The other cool thing is now, like this order is not static. We can just move things around, especially I feel like the first image, as you want to have something where the product is seen, but it's also more fun. I think we should go with one of those. I think this is easier to see. So this is now the main image. And I'm going to show you in the customize in a second. I think let's finish the product, and then we're actually going to add it to the homepage and to other sections. So pricing, pretty self-explanatory. How much should we charge for it?
I don't know what's normal. 25?
It's
maybe?
24.99.
24.99.
There's no discount. Comparative price would mean if you're having a discount running right now and you're selling it for $19.99 instead of $24, for example. Cost per item, we're going to actually add, this is just for us in the reporting on the back end. This means that if we know how much we pay, especially if you're with the shirts or with the bags, we know let's say we pay $7 per item, and then we'll get the profit and obviously the margin. So this is really good, especially once you're selling a lot of volume, just to know what's your revenue, how much can we do in discounts and all of that. SKU, we want, no, we don't want, I don't think we need it right now.
We don't, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not needed.
So it's not necessary. Like these things, it's always nice to have, like especially obviously if you already have them, if you're migrating from a different service, then definitely always use them. If you're just selling like us now 2 items, You don't need them until you need them. And once you need them, this is where you would put them. Track quantity. Yes, we definitely want to track quantity. This is Jackson Avenue, our office. How many do we have at our office of our fake products? It's the available one. We have 10. We just received them. And this is just for reporting. You can just say, I think there's an other or correction I think I usually use. We have 10 available. Physical product, this is really important. That's something people skip. The shipping weight is basically driving then also the shipping rates, how much we're going to pay or how much the customer is going to pay for shipping. So here I would use the most accurate price, the most accurate weight you have. For us, I don't know, what's the t-shirt weight with packaging? Let's say half a pound. You could technically change the measurements. Custom information for international shipping, we're not doing that. We're only going to ship in the US right now. We're not a digital product or service, so we can skip that. And for variants, I'm going to leave that out for now because we're going to do this with the t-shirts. I want to show you how to actually add variants like colors and sizes. And then search engine listing. This is to get started. I would leave it as is. What it's basically using, it uses the description of the product. And this is just, as you can tell from the name, search engine listing, this is basically what's being fed to Google, and then Google scrapes this, reads this, tries to identify what this product means, and then ranks us in Google with this. But this is definitely enough to get started. This is also why we want to have a descriptive title. But I wouldn't even touch the setting in the beginning. All right, this is good. Now let's move to the right side. Fran warned me before. It's an issue that we've seen in forums and everywhere. Like, this is something that happens, and it's so easy to overlook. If you, for example, have a product and for whatever reason you just can't see it on your website, make sure it's actually available in the online store, in the sales channels. So in here, just make sure that it's selected wherever you want to sell it. Also, you can sell it on Google or Facebook. Whatever you have as a sales channel, it should be selected here. If it isn't, it would mean it basically doesn't exist for that particular channel. So if you have a point of sale like we're doing right now, and maybe it's only available online, but it's not in your physical location, then don't select this. And then basically Shopify will treat it as they don't even know of each other.
Also, make sure it's active. So while you're creating the product and you don't want to have it shown on your homepage, you probably want to keep it as draft so people don't find it, people can buy it, and there's no, public ranking or anything. So it's like completely hidden from the public. And then once you filled in all information, you can set it to active, and that's like when it will be pushed into all your sales channels.
That's a good point. It's like
so those two, like sales channels.
It's where it is inactive, and keep in mind, once you actually, if you already have a collection, you're adding it to a collection. The collection is on your website. Once it's active, people can technically buy it. So if you're running like a high volume store with a lot of traffic, this is something where just everyone should be really cautious. Like, it's like we had this before. You create a new item and then just people purchase it without it being ready, or the price wasn't confirmed yet. So just make sure it's draft until it's ready to go live. In our case, since the entire store isn't live, we can definitely put it active because no one can find it. Oh, and this is the new AI. This is, man, I'm so excited about this. This is a brand new feature Shopify released, and I haven't really played around with it, but you can generate product descriptions nowadays. Tone of voice expert. I heard that there's some of the things just start sounding a little funky.
Yeah, but it's a good help.
But if you're running out of ideas, play around with it, with the star icon at the top. And I always like it as inspiration. This one I haven't tested yet, but other tools. Product categories, it detected it.
So the product category will be usually it will automatically tell you or pick the category it is. It will do that based on your product title. So the better your product titles are, the better your categorization will be. If it doesn't match, you can always go in. Let me see. They have a ton of, options. So you can even type it, I guess. Do they have tote bags? That's a good question. No.
Or just bags.
Toasters.
Toasters?
Bag. Okay, what did we have before? Handbags.
Handbags.
Let's leave that. And this category, like the first option, is super, super important because later on it will determine your sales tax in your, in your state, in your area. So that's being done automatically by Shopify, and it's super, super helpful. So make sure you have your category selected and it's matching, and you charge tax. So you want to have this will play together basically. You have this enabled and you have a category.
And that's important to stress, because most of the people then go into the shipping settings and trying to figure out why isn't this being calculated, what's wrong. And I think it's a little bit misleading that most of the important setup is happening in the product itself. So it's the category, like Fran said, it's that we actually want to charge. And then product type, this is more for our end. This is going to be
more for organization.
This is organization. I'm going to call it bag too. Vendor, this is, I think it always defaults to your own store. This is only interesting if you say you have different ones. Like let's say we have Hazel bags and Hazel shirts, or you're obviously selling different vendors in general. And then collections, this is a new thing. It used to be that you have the collection where you add products. Now you can actually add a product to a collection right here. We can ignore this for now. And then tagging, I'm more on the side of an aggressive tagger. I know some people aren't. I like to have too many tags. And so I would even tag this as a bag. And it can look redundant. Like, you don't think because of the product type, you don't need it in the tag. Why I like the tags is if you eventually want to use the exports, you want to use maybe some code and apps and integrations, maybe you have a fulfillment service. The more data they have, the more you can just like modify it. So usually when we do product migrations, tags are just super important because we can say, oh, it's maybe we have two bags that are both product type bag. One might be a handbag, the other one might be a tote bag. And then here we would probably tag it as bag and actually tote bag too. And then we would be able to actually distinguish between them. Hit save as always.
Someone had a question about POS. So basically, that's like the retail connection Shopify offers. So you have online and offline. And the only way, or it's super easy to connect, right? Because you have your sales channels and you just need to make it available on point of sale. That's kind of like how you manage your products. Like you could, for example, only sell it online and have other products just for POS. So that's like super easy to manage. But I feel like POS is like its own universe and its own topic. So maybe we can do a separate webinar.
A separate video just about POS.
Because there's so much to talk about.
But in general, you have, just to finish the thought, we have the products all living under the product section here. And then we have our sales channels, and those are down here. Currently, we only have the POS and our online store. But you can see recommendations, Google Shopping, Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, really important for inertial quality. You're selling on TikTok. Those are integrations where we can then say, we create the products. Did I save? I saved. We created the products, and all of them are going to be here, but that doesn't mean that we're selling all of them on the same platforms. So even if you have a retail business, you would still have your products in here, and then you would just say, okay, you can see here, this is being sold on 2 sales channels. Maybe you want to change it. So this at first might be a little bit of a shift of thinking, because you now it feels like you only have one inventory, but inventory lives somewhere else too. And this is just actually really convenient once you got the hang of it, to just manage your products all at once. Also meaning if you want to make edits to it, you only have to make the edits once, and then you can have the same description show up on 5 different platforms. Should we create a collection as well? Once we have a product, let's do a collection. Homepage.
That would be super interesting for organization too.
Should we do...
I mean, usually it goes by brand or by product type.
For our case, I'm just going to call it bags and t-shirts.
That's easy.
Publishing, I'm just going to have it on point of sale. This is, again, the sales channel. Actually, for simplicity's sake, let's keep it. Descriptions, this is usually just short, and you're going to see in the theme in a second where this is going to live. So I'm going to keep this blank for now. And then the collection type, I think that's the only really interesting thing, is you can either have an automated logic to it. This would mean, for example, that as we said, we tagged a product as a bag. So I could just say, please only or all the bags I'm going to add in the future should end up in this bag collection. Would make sense in our case. We could also say this could be all the collections of a vendor, like Fran just says. Like we're saying, oh, this is Hazelware bags, and then we have like some other brand. And in the future, once we add things, we don't want to recategorize everything. We just want to say this is also from this vendor, so automatically we want it to be added to this collection. In our case, oh, and then there's the manual mode, just saying this is just things I like. It's usually for the best sellers, or if it's a seasonal thing, you can just say, okay, this is manual, and select all the products you want to add to this. In our case, it's automate. We want to do it automatically. The product tag, take it back. That's it. And now we should have one product. I'm going to hit save. This is a collection image. I'm going to show you in a second where this is going to show up, but I'm going to jump back into the customize at the top. I think Fran's responding to the chat messages.
I'm just currently answering.
Yeah. Perfect.
So
okay.
if you have questions, just shoot them in the chat.
I like the efficiency. So I'm just gonna keep talking, and then Fran's gonna answer.
Sorry
if
you hear me typing.
All right, now I want to add a collection. Here you can already see it's connected. Featured products. Let's go back to the customizer. There's some things I just want to basically walk you through and how we can use the customizer. That's where Shopify made a lot of changes. If you have an older theme or a third-party theme, this is also why I want to prefer, or why I only use the Shopify themes now. With the new 2.0, we can just add sections to everything. For now, I would say let's just start here. This is also what I want to keep. Instead of just having a huge banner, I think that's perfect for us. We just want to say, hey, we have two products. And also having two products, that's a trend now. It's like there's a lot of, especially if you're into drop shipping, maybe you've seen these old stores and they're not converting at all anymore. What you want to do now is basically you want to build a brand and only use drop shipping as a method of fulfillment, but you still want to treat it as if you're building a tote brand. It's like you're one of the biggest tote brands. You want to treat it as that. You want to actually look like that, and you don't want to have too many products on a page. And it's the thing that we see a lot if you have too many collections, or especially if you're saying, I'm selling tote bags, but I'm also selling kitchen appliances, no one's going to purchase. That's over. It's been, I think hasn't been converting for years now, but we still see it in the forum. People are still trying to sell everything from the same store, and the visitors just don't trust it anymore. It's like now we want to have a branded store, even one product. Maybe you've seen it on Instagram too. There's like sometimes trending products. Like I know there was a projector that projected like a starlight kind of looking light into your living room or bedroom. And then all they had was this one product, and you want to have a very simple homepage that just features different types of images. So don't feel bad if you say I only have two products. That's actually great. It's like the less we have to show, the higher the chance that someone's going to buy it if they're actually looking for that product. And if not, then nothing will convince them anyway. So this is, I like the setup. It's like we have a big image, our latest. We need something better. Need something fun. It's always hard to come up with something fun when you have to. Let's just call it you are wonderful. So shop all. We just want to keep it really actionable. I always like to view a homepage from the perspective of the visitor. It's not, we don't want to convince them like buy. We don't want to shove it down their throat. It's more like, hey, this is what we do. If you want to see more, click here. It should be more inviting. So instead of shop all, let's say shop totes. And this is going to link to all products for now. Or actually, we're going to link it to the bags. And this is now, I just changed it. If I just did it so quickly. So I changed it from all products, which is like it says, just like all the products. I actually now pointed to the bags only, since we're just featuring the tote bags. And the bags are the collection. Okay, this section, I think we can leave it as it is. If you want to make changes to it, there's a thing. We just caught this on the in the forum. There's a lot of people always recommending super crazy code changes that are made to the entire theme. Usually if you're working maybe with a freelance in the future and you just want to have a certain change to a section, I would always recommend going to customizer to this new field called custom CSS. And CSS is the styling to it. So in here you could then say H2 being the heading, I want to make it the color of red. But this then only applies to this section. And what we see a lot of also Shopify partners, for whatever reason, recommend is just going to the theme file to actually edit the code and applying this to the entire store. And then you come into the phase of every section you don't want to have it, you have to hard override it too. And more code means slower load time, and it's just risky. So you forget it in one section and then nothing shows. So this is the CSS field is great, but usually I don't think you're probably going to need it in the future or in the beginning. All right, we have the banner. Usually what I like doing is we want to tell a story on the homepage. So featured products would be one idea, especially here. For us, I would probably have a story section in between where we say, because we invited them to purchase. I think now it's also a good time to feature our t-shirt. So this is a featured product. Let's see how it looks. I think this one could be cool. Should we do featured product or should we do an image with text? I like the featured product.
This one is nice because they can shop right away from your homepage. So that might be interesting for conversion.
It's also something we see a lot is where brands just want to tell all the stories in the beginning. And we sometimes remind them to saying, hey, we're here to sell merch. So just go with it, just saying, hey, this is what we sell. Please buy. And if they don't like buying, then usually then underneath you want to actually tell a little bit more about the brand. But this is where we say we want to have a story on the homepage. So saying, hey, this is what we do. Do you want to buy? Okay, no. Why aren't the visitors clicking? Then we want to have a section explaining a little bit more. It's like maybe you're interested in a t-shirt. No, they keep scrolling. And then we know something's still missing. Like we don't want to show more products now. Now it's more like about the brand, the mission, something that just warms them up a little bit. And then they could always just scroll back up and purchase. But this is what we see where you have a ton of collections and then people just keep scrolling because it's too much to see. They don't know what they should buy. And then it's just, there's like something missing, or people start with a story and then no one can actually check out. So this is, I think, a good selection. Now I'm just going to quickly create the t-shirt for us. This time I'm not going to talk too much. I try to at least. I had a name for it too. A t-shirt. This is in our doc description. Media for now, I think we only had one. That one. This is the WebP image. Half an MB, that's really good. Perfect price. $2.99. Here, nothing. Cost per item. I think 12. I remember 12 was a good price for a shirt. Track quantity, we have 25 on hand. Oh, and this is now good. Now we can have variants because t-shirt probably going to sell only one color, but I'm just going to show you quickly how you can add those. So this would be if you're selling products with different sizes, different colors, different material, I can just read them, different styles. Instead of having individual products created, you just want to have one parent product, and those would be the variants. So for example, we're selling our shirt in the basic sizes, then option name would be what is it? It's a size, and our values would be S and medium. I'm just gonna cut this short. And then our other options would be a color. And we're going to do, I think we had pink, blue, green. Done. And then here you can see this is basically what Shopify generates for us. Now every size also has a color. So now we can say the extra small pink, maybe we have two. extra small and blue, maybe we have none right now, and the green we have one. So this generates all the different options for us. And if you had to, if you were to create your own individual products, like Smile T-shirt green, Smile T-shirt blue, then it's just hard to track inventory and also hard for the customer because they know I like the print, but maybe I just want to try a different color. Description, I'm just going to leave, and then I'm just going to do quickly active, perfect, product type, T-shirt, Hazelware. Forgot what we called our company. Collections, we don't have yet, and tag, I'm gonna call it shirt. Gonna create a quick collection. Okay, back in the customizer, you can select the product. Now we have it, the T-shirt, Smile T-shirt. It should import everything automatically. These are now our variants. So if you see this and you see the strike through, meaning we don't have, that's just because it didn't add any inventory for small and medium, same as for blue. So this is why the variants just make everything so much easier. Like a good product structure can make everything so much easier. You can see the vendor here. And now what I saw in the forum yesterday, funny enough, if you don't like things like this, just go in here and we can always hide something. We can, if we don't like the Hazelware, the vendor, let's remove that. Let's keep it simple. This one, the quantity, I'm probably going to remove from the homepage too. And then whatever it is that we want to show or don't show, and save it. Okay, we got this. We got this. And I think now, should we just end it with the bestsellers?
Yeah, why not? I like the homepage. Like a shorter one.
A shorter one. And you can already see how important it is to have colors. Like if we were just to take pictures ourselves, it would have like a very different look to it. So these renderings are super, super helpful. Color backgrounds are really helpful. If you have more matted tones, or if you're working more with something that's more on the grayscale, then I would probably recommend having color in your actual store itself, like in the background, in the buttons. But if you actually have something super colorful, we don't want to introduce now another color to it. We could have something for the buy buttons, but you don't want to have a different background color and have color here. So let's create a bestseller collection. Bestsellers. Description I'm going to keep. This one's actually going to be manual. I think I have to save it first, right?
Yeah.
And now I can search products, and I'm going to add both of them. People love our clothing. Then add image would be if we were to have just like a collection image, for example. This is going to be confusing, but this is something if you don't want to show, if you want to, for the grouping of all the bestsellers, for example, if you want to show a very specific image that's not necessarily a product image, then you can use the collection image here. And I think otherwise it's going to default to the image of the first product that's being added to the collection. So we got the bestsellers. Now let's add it. I'm going to refresh. Featured collection. We're changing that to bestsellers. These things, like if you want to add a description, I would be on the shorter side. Like that's usually on the homepage. I would keep it very minimal. So it's also, if you look at the larger brands, it's the homepages, very little text, always image based. And if you have to or want to add text, just keep it short. We can definitely say something. Shop our products. Fans love. But I wouldn't have like a full-on description now with like multiple lines. Like if we were to do something like this, then you can see it's getting too much. And especially what people usually don't think about when you design something on desktop is you switch to mobile and then everything just becomes much more. So we always want to keep it simple. If this was too fast, you can, at top right, you can just switch the device. You have desktop and mobile. And then usually it always makes sense to check that everything checks out. Saving. All right, what should we do next? Do we do the product page or the menu?
Okay, let's stick to the customers and do the product page, and then
Let's
we
do
can
it.
do the menu structure.
Do we have any questions in between, by the way? Otherwise, I'll do the product page next. Oh, you guys have been chatting a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so product page, there's not too much to it. It's basically similar as the section that we have on the homepage now. Here we just want to show basically all the information. There's things to be said about the order of things. Like if we have a shorter description, I usually like moving it up a bit. But like this is, I think, too long to actually have the description before the buy buttons, because then everything just moves down. And we usually want to have the purchase buttons as easily visible as possible, especially once you enter the page. I'm actually gonna, should we create a duplicate for this? No, that's probably just,
I would just leave it as is.
just have
This
one.
looks good.
Yeah, I think so too. So you may also like, I think it's really smart. If we were to add something, I think the only thing I would add is maybe like a behind the scenes, how we, like some story about the shirt. But I think the product pages usually always work.
It's just good to double check. Like if you didn't want to feature maybe the brand name, you can hide it, or you can add more sections like behind the scenes or maybe social media. But yeah, in general, you can leave it as is, but you can spice it up too.
There's one cool feature that I just added. It's called a collapsible row. And this is if you say you have information about fabric, for example. You don't have to have everything in the product description itself. We can just split it out, and instead of a check mark, we're probably going to use, do they have a shirt? A shirt, they do have a shirt. So we can put our fabric information. I think we called it features. You can put extra information in here. And this is now, just keep in mind, it's like this, if we add it like this, it's going to be visible for all of the products, because this is then just like a fixed text. What we want to do is they also have these meta fields, a dynamic source. This might be a little bit complicated right now, but I'm just going to walk you guys through it, how it works. So in here, we're going to say we want to have, we're going to add a meta field to a product. A meta field is basically a custom field of information, and it's going to, it might look a little complicated, but it's going to give you like cool features. So we're going to add one for a product. We're adding a definition. I'm going to call it fabric. Care guides, custom fabric. Ignore all of that. That's just important if we were to write code. And description is more for us, so we know in the back end if you have a team what it's actually about. It's like fabric, the product. Type, we're going to use multi-line text in this case. Ignore all of that, and then we can save it. And now in the product section, I'm going to switch tab back to our products. The t-shirt now should have at the very bottom the field called fabric. This is now the meta field. And what Shopify now does with the 2.0 sources, it allows us to have like multiple fields that they're now connected to the product. So if you make a change in the customizer, everyone would have the same change. Like the bag would have the same message as the tote, as a t-shirt. But now I'm going to paste our description in here, hit save, and then we can go back to the customizer. I just need to refresh for quick. And this is more on the advanced side, so don't worry if you don't understand that. That's something that a lot of people have been struggling because Shopify changed this around. But here we have the fabric now, multi-line text field. We save it. And now Shopify automatically fetches whatever data is at the product level. So if we have a different information for the tote bag, then it's going to display the information of the tote bag, not of the t-shirt. But if we were to just add text in here, then every product would have the same text. So this is the dynamic source up here. It's, once you get the hang of it, it's incredible. It was something we pushed for, that Shopify ads or it has to add, and eventually, like, it's not perfect yet, but it's enabling so much more now. So this has been incredible. Okay, I think product, we're happy. I'm just gonna preview the store. I think this was the first time we're actually previewing it. See how it looks. Maybe a little bit on the larger end. Gonna make this a little smaller. Let's go back to the home page. This section, instead of adapt to image, let's make it large. I'm probably gonna make it large because I know it's then gonna cap it out at my screen height. I like this one. We got the t-shirt, adding it to the cart. Nice. And the bestsellers. I like it. Looks plain, simple, but purchasable. Let's do the menu next, I'd say. Usually in terms of pages, what we recommend is obviously we need the legal pages, like a privacy policy, terms of service. But we can have different menus for the header. This would be the header, and then we have the footer down here. So we can have two different menus, and we don't want to show all of the extra pages up here. Some of the things, maybe a blog, you don't necessarily want to link here, other than like if you're running it actively and adding to it, then you might actually. But if you're doing it like we're doing with Hazel, where it's like once in a while we share the content, but it's more for a newsletter. It's more for the community. Then like, we don't need people to read the blog right away. We probably want to link it in the footer. So we can have two different menus, and I'm going to show you where we create them. And if you have the same, what you just noticed with in my store, if it keeps disappearing on you, just click the pin, and it's actually always going to be listed now. It's always going to be here, even if we refresh. Now we don't have to search for the online store again. So let's go to navigation. We have the main menu and the footer menu. The main menu we want to add the catalog. Probably going to rename to shop. And then the contact, I like about us.
About us could be interesting.
Soon. It's even recommending it about us. And then we don't have the page yet, so I'm just going to point it at the home page. I'm saving it. And then the footer menu, search, always a good option. I wouldn't add too many things here, but I think the most important ones are we doing terms of service?
The policies, like you always want to feature your return policy,
right.
Your privacy policy, and all those things.
So I'm just going to call it terms of service. Maybe. And we'll link it to, and that should be a page. So I'm just going to link it to this case. I'm going to change this in a second, but this is the menu, and I'm going to show you how we add it. Back in the customizer, we jump to the footer. Wait, this is the one we need. Show email.
I think it's a blog.
Oh, yeah, this one's different. This theme. Add a blog. Menu, you're right. And the footer menu, perfect. Quick links. Usually we don't need this. Search, terms of service, perfect. And now you can see the header menu already has the new categories as well. About us is selected. If you see that, that just means that these two pages are pointing at the same page. So since we're on the home page, and this one, I just point at the home page, it looks selected as well. So this isn't a bug. It's technically true. It just means that we have to connect a page. So in order to create a page, we can do this right above pages. We need the About Us page. Top right, create page called About Us. Here the AI would be nice. Here I would wish to have this generator. This is an incredible story of how we founded Hazelware. It's visible, and then I'm gonna create a Terms of service.
Policies would live in the settings though. I mean, you could do either or. You could either create your own page for all your terms and policies, but Shopify gives you like their own templates as well. So within your settings, you would just scroll down to the bottom and it says policies. And from here, I believe you can create all of them from template, probably except your shipping, if that's right. Yeah. So your shipping, you would need to add depending on what you're offering. But all of those, return policies, privacy, terms of service, you can just go in and create from template, and it will give you like, a template you can customize. Now it even says like you still need to make sure it's matching to your store and all of that. So yeah, I would recommend reading through it and make sure it's matching, but this is how what you could use, I guess.
Yeah, and the templates are actually good enough to definitely get you launched. Like they're obviously it's not perfect. We should always say it's like we let a lawyer read over this, but it covers the most important things. Where it's getting interesting is once you start using Google Analytics, for example, and I'm going to show in a second how to add that, then sometimes I think you need to add certain clauses. There are services like Termly that we like using that help you with that. But this is definitely once you, like if you haven't launched yet, then I wouldn't worry too much about the policies. Like we never had anyone who had like any issues with the policies. But obviously once you know what you're selling, this would probably be the first thing you probably want to work on and get it customized to your needs.
And once you added them in your settings, you will find them here as well. So you have the option to go to policies. This is again for your footer menu right now, and it will pop up here. So we just created, terms of service, so we can link that here. We can also link, let's see, what else do we do? Privacy, it will take the name already. And the last one, I guess that we're good. Refund, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So this will then automatically be pushed onto your site, and it's just like a general, like there's no real layout to it. Let's see in the footer. Yeah. So it's just like a blank page. And you can't really customize this either, but it's fine.
You can also nest it. I haven't seen it with this theme, but you can usually also say, let's call it legal or policies.
Mm-hmm.
And then a menu gives you the option, which is just going to link it to privacy probably. And then we can make those subcategories. So you just drag it basically underneath whatever should be the main category. You save it. And then depending on the theme, so I'm curious how they're going to display it now.
Yeah, it's probably not working in the footer.
Okay, for the footer, it doesn't work. Sometimes it works on the hover. We usually customize it to then so it drops out. Okay, in this case, probably not worth it, but it works for everything else as well. You can also just drag it out.
That would be interesting for your categories. Like in your main menu, you can create nested menus for, by product type or by season.
That's a good point.
Like
we can do it as an
undershop,
example.
maybe.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We can do bags. Link it to our collection of bags and place it under shop. And we do the same for t-shirts. Link it to collections. We link it to our shirts. And then this is for the main menu. So now you can see the drop down here. And now someone can either click on shop. No, actually you have to with this theme, you have to now select one. So this is just easier to group things. And usually you don't want to have a ton of things up here. There's probably like one or two more I would add. If you have more than that, I would probably think about how you can group them differently, just so it's easier to read and to navigate. I would always have the shop second. Contact and about us. Contact usually, I don't know if this is an official rule or just everyone started doing this. Contact, this is home. Contact I would always do last. So you have everything the shopper need to make the purchase. You have here, and then contact would just be to contact, obviously, if there's questions.
I guess only pages are missing now.
I think now we have to create a page, maybe a page template, and get some shipping settings set up.
And then we're good to launch.
And then let's buy something.
Hopefully.
Let's see what we broke. Let's go back here. Let's create a page.
But yeah, the beauty is all of those themes come with an About Us and a contact page template already. So if you want to preview the contact page real quick,
Mhm.
You can view it. And you see it already has a form. So that's all completed. People can reach out to you and it will land in your inbox. So that's all, no coding necessary, basically, which is really nice.
And if you want to customize it, you can go in your customizer, just go under pages, and then you're going to see all the templates here. So default page would just be every page that you're going to create in the future, unless it's something specific, and contact is something specific. So we can now add something to this. We can add a contact form. I'm just, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add a featured product, which doesn't make any sense. So please don't do it. But for example, you can have a t-shirt here on one page. But now if we were to go to our other page, our default page, it won't be here. So this is why it's important to have separate layouts. And now if we want to say we want to have the About Us page, then we can create a new template here. And we're also going to name it About Us based on the default page. And then now we can edit this one. Yep. See if it shows. Now this one we can add it to. I'm just, again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add a slideshow. And the first image is going to be the only image that we have. So now this slideshow only is for the About Us page. So if we were to go back to contact, we should have a product, but no slideshow. Perfect. I'm also going to remove this. Perfect, now it's gone. And then About Us still has it. So this is, oh, it's still linking to the homepage. Pages, About Us. So this way you can have, if you want to have like multiple, like a wholesale page and a like About Us page, about the team, behind the scenes, all of this, you probably just want to have a different template. So the content's different and everything just looks different. Just keep creating templates. You can also do it for products and collections, by the way. You can have, if you have a product that has a video featured that's just very different than the other one. For example, if we have a video for our totes, but we don't have it for our t-shirts, then we would create a duplicate product page, add a video section for the one product, but we won't assign it then to the t-shirts, for example. So otherwise we would just have like a gray box for missing video. And this way we can just always say, I'm just going to remove it. We can just show basically what's relevant for each page. We can already see our About Us.
And the beauty is you can customize it just as your homepage. So you can add as many sections as you want. You can add your own content. Yeah, so it's fully customizable.
That's a new feature with the 2.0 theme. So sometimes Shopify, you hear everywhere, it's like it's 2.0, 2.0, 2.0. Also freelancers just like to brag, like we built everything 2.0. That's basically what they mean. It's like everything is section based, so you can duplicate, customize it. Everything works just like the homepage. And then older themes that were still built on 1.0, it's just liquid code. So it's there, you get what you basically get from the theme, and you can't do any other changes, or there's limited changes, whatever the developers basically built into the theme. So if someone's asking you, and I hope no one's ever going to ask you if you want to 1.0 or 2.0, but always go with 2.0. It's incredibly simple. It's very robust. Then we have pages. I'm just going to fix the menu for quick. Navigation. Main menu, which one was a broken one? About Us. Oh, yeah, pointing to the home page. And now obviously you want to point it to the About Us page, apply, refresh, and I think, how we're looking, it's previewed for quick.
Sometimes it takes a while.
Shop totes. Yeah, you can already tell, like, if this were just bland basic images, this would look very different, but just having like a colorful background just makes a huge difference. Now here we can see the gallery. It's something we can change in the customizer too, the way we want to display it. But I think this looks really nice. Well, wonderful tote bag. Let's add it to the cards. Let's view a card, just make sure everything shows up. Okay, perfect. Let's talk about shipping. Do you want to talk about shipping?
Yeah. I mean, all the settings could be interesting. Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna give you full control.
Okay, so basically your backend settings. Now we talked through like the design, the product content, your navigation. Now your settings are kind of like all your backend, all the things you can set here. I guess the first one would be store details. You filled that out when you created your account, so we don't have to go over this. Your plan, that's the one you picked. Because shipping is important, so depending on your Shopify plan, you can use different apps and integrations that will feed shipping fees. With the basic plan, it's the cheapest one of all. You get a custom integration such as USPS, DHL, and Shopify's own fees. But if you wanted to use print on demand, for example, you would have to upgrade your plan so they can feed their own rates into your account. But again, if you're fulfilling yourself and you have your own products, you should be good with basic. Okay, billing, all of that. I guess in billing, you're adding your own, your own payment method, and in payments, you're connecting the method your customer pays with, right? So billing is your own, like wherever you want to get paid. And payments is what your customers see. So I'm just going to talk through all of those settings real quick. Here you want to activate Shopify payments and potentially PayPal, depending on what what you wanted to offer. But Shopify payments has the lowest rates for Shopify, surprisingly, and they accept all credit cards, all major payment methods. So that's always, I guess, a must-have. And then if you wanted to get additional methods, you can add PayPal. They have third-party payment methods or manual, but you actually don't really need this. Even Amazon, it depends on what you want, right? Checkout, you actually don't need to customize it, but you can look through the settings on what type of information you want to get from your customer as they check out. For example, if you really wanted to have their company name for specific, reasons, you can make this required, for example. So this is just like additional settings you can use, and you can just look through if you need this at checkout or not. If it's not really, if you just run your own, store and you don't have any specific requirements, I would just go with whatever they give you. Customer accounts could be a little bit interesting if you wanted your customers to log in and create their account with you and kind of track their orders, the order history, see all payment methods and all of the things they have, the history with your brand. So you can edit this here and make it available. And you can pick if they should log in with email or if it's like a code, whichever option you prefer. But this will automatically enable accounts. So you don't need any coding, you don't need any customization. The account icon will automatically show up in your, on your online store in the top right corner most of the times, and people can log in and sign up with you. So we can actually do this and see how it looks. If this shows up already. Yes, so you see we just enabled it and here it is, and people can log in or create an account. So this is very straightforward, and it lives in your settings under customer accounts. Now, shipping. I know a lot of you had questions about shipping, and it seems to be very confusing just because, of course, like that's the part where you may pay a portion or the customer pays all of it. It depends on your settings, right? So here you have your shipping and you want to click managed. These are your rates. You see all of our products are listed already. And then we have our one location where we are fulfilling from, and then different zones. So just so you know, all of this, whenever you set up a Shopify account, will show up already. So they actually give you rates, which is so convenient. You don't have to do your own research or anything. It depends on what you're preferring, right? So in this case, it goes by product weight, and then it will give you the most common rate for this size of package. This is also important because when creating the products, you should enter your product weight, including the packaging. So this makes all sense, and it's lining up, and you're not making, you're not paying in addition to what is actually, the fee is. So you can remove them as well. If you wanted to offer free shipping, you can create a condition. So either you go by weight or you go by price. I just wanted to show you this one. Here are your conditions. So depending on if you wanted to go by weight, you can do that, which are the other options. But in this case, we want to go by price. So if they purchase from your store, at least for $50, they will get free shipping. And you probably saw that for some of the brands, they have like a top banner where it says like, get free shipping when you spend 50 or more. So that's kind of like how you set it up. You add a condition and then you go by minimum price. Again, these are all manual fulfillments, or your own rates, and they are static. Now, if you wanted to offer more like dynamic rates, you can add a rate, and you do have the option to use a carrier or an app to calculate your rates. And within the US, they give you UPS and USPS. So you can pick either one of them and select your rates you wanted to offer. So UPS ground, whichever, maybe next day. If you want to go fast, we can do that. Yes, and we want to, well, that's up to you. Do we want to future rates? Maybe. Okay. So now, as you can see, it added this tab. And depending on if you want to have it super easy and convenient, you can just leave UPS and delete all of your manual rates. And what it does, basically, UPS feeds in their own rates based on the product weight. Let me see if it shows up.
You should call it a question in the chat.
Oh, there's a question. 1 second. Yes, so that was a question about the free amount. Yes, shipping would be free if a customer spends over $50. So this is a manual rate where you would pay all the shipping, kind of as a gift for the customer.
There's also the trick. I mean, it's not really it's commonly known, but it's sometimes we notice with conversion rates, people just really enjoy free shipping.
That's true.
Shipping might be $4.99, but they just don't like the feeling of, something comes on top of it. But what's a trick that just works wonders is just price your item $5 more and always have free shipping. And we saw such a conversion increase. So if that's something where you realize maybe it's just a little bit complicated, or just people aren't really converting, or they get confused with if it's international shipping, just price it differently. And it worked wonders for all of our clients, especially on the lower tier. Just saying if it's US based, you can get the ground shipping, price it, and then just have and you can announce everywhere free shipping.
That's true. That's a good point. So you can actually make this 0, and then you always have free shipping.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can add your custom rates if you wanted to, use whichever price, or you can use UPS or USPS, and they will feed in their own rates, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. The only thing that's important is add your weight to the products, not your weight.
Your weight.
Perfect. So this would be for domestic, and then you also have international. So if you wanted to ship internationally, you can add different, countries, depending on where you wanted to ship to. And here again, which makes it super easy, you have DHL and USPS. I believe they may have even more. Let's see. Okay, we already connected it. I feel like maybe with UPS you need your own business account, but Shopify comes already set up with DHL and USPS, so you don't have to worry about any rates anymore. And you can delete, different countries if you don't want it to ship there. It depends on, your preference. But this is kind of how you set up your shipping, and a lot of it is done already for you. So just make sure this all aligns with your, what you wanted to do for your business. I'm gonna save this real quick. Oh yeah, okay. So UPS, that's the thing. So you need an account with them. They're probably gonna check if what you're selling. So if it's like any pharmaceuticals or different maybe batteries, things that need a special label to ship. You just need to make sure, like, yeah, alcohol, tobacco, all of those things.
Do you have another question, Jen?
We have a new question. Okay, so if you're selling like low price products and the shipping may be more expensive than the product itself, it actually makes sense to have like the free shipping available, and you just add it on your product price probably.
We noticed that it's interesting to me, but we noticed that if you, for example, I think it was like a client that sold something for like $11 and the shipping was $4.99, and then people got strangely offended by saying, why should I pay so much for shipping? Like, they didn't understand that it's like the shipping is a fixed price, and we understood, so we recommended just pricing it for $16 and have free shipping, and people purchase so much more. So it's like we noticed that if it's for the product, people would spend it, but if it's the same amount just for a service that's not connected to the product, people just don't want to spend it. So if you're in the situation, I would just try adding the price to the product and offer free shipping. And then we had, funny enough, the feedback was completely the opposite. People are then saying, oh my God, free shipping, that's so crazy. And no one actually ever mentioned the increased price of product. I mean, they didn't know that we increased it, but they definitely didn't bother.
It's quite common. I don't know, maybe.
And it's something it's like once you're aware, you start seeing this everywhere. People saying, oh, or there's even the inverse is also true more on the digital side. Maybe you've seen ads for something like this where they say, get this free book, all you pay is shipping. And it's also what they say is you pay $12 shipping and the book is free, but then is it free if you spend the same amount? So you can buy a $12 book with zero shipping or $12 shipping and zero. Yeah. So it's things to play around with, but I would usually always add it to the product. If it's a low price product, usually $5 more, they would pay anyway. And if it's a higher price product, then it gives such a premium feel. Like, let's say you're selling something for 45, just make it 50. It's like, that's not going to lose you the sale. But if you can say, hey, it's $50 and free shipping, that it feels so much more premium than just having another rate on top of it. It's just having to pay for a service that people just don't really want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so taxes is another interesting topic, but basically what you need to do is for your market, and I believe we set it up already for United. Oh, that was a different account today. Okay, never mind. So basically you pick your country and then you can manage the tax. And here, okay, this is all new in Shopify, and it makes it so convenient because they have different, tax settings you can pick and choose from. The basic one here, the first one, is available from, for every plan. But basically, this is kind of, if you want to read more into it, maybe we share a guide in the community, but they will tell you kind of the rates that applies based on your state, based on your area or country. And then in our case, we want to start collecting in New York. Does it say anything? Yes. And then you add your ID depending on where you're based, right? So now it starts, I just made this up. But yeah, so you want to add your region and add your sales tax. There are a lot of integrations you can use for taxes and like sales tax and all of that. So I definitely want to make sure you check with like your tax professional, CPA, your bookkeeper. They can, most of the times they have an app they connect with your store, and based on that they will get the sales tax for every region, and it's all super transparent. So but you want to fill in your sales tax ID here. Okay, locations, that's like maybe based on the question we had earlier about POS, or managing different, inventory based on location. You can add all of your business locations here, like your fulfillment center. Maybe you have a store, maybe you have a different warehouse. I'm not sure, like whatever it is. You can add you can add up to 1,000 locations here. And the beauty is you can add inventory separately for each location. It may not even applicable to you depending on, where you're selling, where you're shipping from. If it's just one location, it's easier, of course, to manage, but so you have the option to add more.
One more question, I believe.
Mm.
Oh, did we already answer it?
In-person online should be price. Okay, so that's a good question. If online, like e-commerce, and for your retail store, if the price should be identical, I guess most of the brands are using the same price, because they might look up your product online, and if it's cheaper in your store, they may not purchase in the physical location anymore. I guess that depends.
I think the only thing I see is running discounts or promotions, but that wouldn't be on the product level.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if I remember where someone priced it differently, but I think most of the time almost all the time it's the same price. I would do the same price unless there's a real reason. Then obviously if it's something that's if it's hard to ship, for example, then and someone's picking it up, then that would factor into the price.
Right.
But usually I would price it the same.
Awesome. Gift cards, you just have additional settings, like if you want to have an expiration date or not. That's just like an additional option.
One more thing on the topic of pricing, I think maybe that's where the question came from, is because we said earlier, it's like if we want to factor the shipping into the pricing, but then if someone's in store, obviously they don't have shipping because they take it home with them. I would still keep the price the same. It's like it just raises a lot of questions, like why do I pay more online and the shipping is free, unless I would just make more profit, put it on the retail price as well. It's like people usually don't mind. But I would do whatever I can to just have the same price.
Just to keep it cohesive, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I think another area that's super important for all of you is domains. Just to browse through it real quick, because Shopify will give you a My Shopify domain for free from the get-go whenever you create your account. But of course, people know like myshopify.com is not your custom domain. So just to build more trust with your customers and to enhance your branding, I would always recommend connecting your own custom domain, meaning getting rid of My Shopify and just have your own brand name. So in our case, I guess it would be hazelware.com or .store. There are a lot of options out there. And you can already, which if you didn't purchase a domain yet, it's super convenient. You can just buy your own new domain directly from this area. So you just click buy new domain. It will forward you to a browser. You type in the domain you want to use, and if it's free, you can buy it already. If you already purchased a domain outside of Shopify, let's say GoDaddy or a different host, you can connect it to Shopify. And what it does in both cases, it will replace the myshopify.com domain, so customers don't see it anymore, and you can use your own custom name. This one is a little bit tricky. If you already purchased one outside of Shopify, you have the option to connect it automatically. So with GoDaddy, you just type in your custom domain name here, click connect automatically, and we will add a guide to the community as well. And it will automatically, change the settings on GoDaddy's end, so it knows now we need to connect to Shopify. So if you're using GoDaddy, it's super easy as well. If not, you can reach out to us and we can connect it for you, but you have the option to use your own, custom name. Policies we talked about already.
We talked about languages.
Languages are not like if you're.
Yeah, that's
a little bit more advanced, but I hope this was a good walkthrough through the settings.
One more thing I would like to add, because that's also a question we had in the community, and it's, if you're already selling on Shopify, it's a topic that you might heard from every angle right now, and that's Google Analytics 4. And what Google's doing right now is they changed their entire infrastructure of how they report analytics. So if you're already using Google Analytics, then it's time to actually migrate. And you've seen probably a bunch of emails because they're pressuring us saying you're going to lose all your data. So this is now the perfect time to migrate. If you're not using Google Analytics yet, that's also the perfect time to start. And what you want to do is you just, I think the tricky thing is that they moved it now, and it's super simple now. It's just on a very different, you'll find it just somewhere completely different. So now it's actually under sales channel. You want to connect Google and YouTube. And it's a little bit misleading. That's why people just ask it so many times. So you want to add the Google app to the sales channels. And in there, you can then actually integrate analytics. So you want to add Google as a sales channel. And that's also, I think, the only app I would really say makes sense to have from the get-go, unless obviously your product requires like a different one. You want to connect your Google account. In this case, I'm not going to go through the full setup since my account is connected with your actual live website. But now that you connected it, so here you see this is my Google account. It says disconnect. And then at the top, you're going to see this blue box saying looking to set up Google Analytics 4. That's exactly what we're looking for. And just click get started. And here's going to say it's going to connect your property. Usually it should autofill with something. I think it's going to, if you don't have one yet, I think it might create one. If not, you can just click create new and it's going to walk you through a property. What a property is, it's just basically your ID it's going to write to. So we already, I'm not going to connect it since that is our live one. We have it for 2 websites. And this is basically just saying, please report every traffic that comes to my website. Please report under this name property. It's like the same as like a Facebook pixel, just lives somewhere else. So you would click connect, then it would automatically connect it. And all the analytics is basically now feeding into your Google Analytics account. And you could then find it under analytics.google.com or just Google for Google Analytics. And it's going to open everything. I think that's the last thing I wanted to touch is basically now that you see is like you have a store. We're technically ready to go live. I'm actually going to publish this right now. We're going to go into preferences. You scroll to the very bottom. Oh, this is another thing you probably want to do. This is what not just what Google shows in the preview, but this is also if someone shares your page on social media or on iMessage or somewhere, like this is what would show up in the preview. So we're probably going to call it Hazelware and some good name. Where the good stuff happens. Now, this is a dumb headline I was looking for earlier. And some meta description. This is basically just like a short description about your brand. Something where, and I would craft it with basically this in mind, knowing someone's going to share it and they're going to see a quick picture. And this is, and what is it that you want them to see first? Your image. This is also recommended size. So this won't fit. This is the wrong size, but just when you create something, just make sure it fits this size. And then this is where also everything else will show up. And this is where we get the warnings. Like this is how we used to track it. Now we have it in the app. A Facebook pixel, if you already have one, you can set up in preferences. It's like we're gonna make a separate video because it's just we're ready. Like it's so much to talk through, and Facebook has there's so much to talk about how to set it up correctly. So we're gonna have a separate video just on Facebook pixel, but you'll set it up here if you already have one. And then I think the most important setting for everyone, if this day comes, hopefully this weekend for you guys, is you remove this check mark. All right, we don't accept payments yet, but that's fine for now. You click save, and you're live. And now if someone actually goes on your website, like since we don't have our custom domain connected, this is now everything you can actually go to. So storeinweek.myshopify.com. That's our store domain, and your website is live, and people can see it. And people could technically buy from it if you had connected your payments, like we didn't do. Like buy it now, everything should work. Here, let's test it. Let's say flow at test. Let's see if we get to the checkout. Florian. Cisco. I'm just using a fake address. Continue. We got the free shipping. And this is also where journey ends, since we don't have payments connected right now. But this is then where you would just have the buttons for like quick purchase or credit card or whatever it is. And your customer can check out. And that's basically all there that is to it. You're going to see if someone orders, you're going to see in your order section, there's going to be your order with everything in it. You can print the shipping label from there. You can add notes to it. You can refund, exchange, do all the good stuff in there. We're definitely going to do separate videos just on that. But that's, I think, everything you need to launch.
That was a quick
the
walkthrough.
store.
And it took us 2 hours.
I think it was much more intense than we thought it would be. Are there any questions
Yeah,
on your
shoot
end? I think
away.
now is a good time. Again, it's longer than expected, and we're gonna send a recording out probably
For sure.
tomorrow once it finished processing. And obviously, if you have questions, if you're rewatching this and you have questions afterwards, just send us a message anytime on the community or just post it.
Yeah, you can just post it and we can create a guide for you, or, you know, depending on what it is, we can take a look and take it from there. Shipping label printer recommendations.
An actual like physical printer, you're asking, because there is a link, Shopify hardware. I know they have their own URL. I think it's this one. Yeah. I'm gonna send this link for quick in the chat.
Yeah, they do have their own hardware, even for POS, like for your retail store.
Yeah. It's not necessarily just like the Shopify own hardware. It's like a third-party hardware, but it's basically built with Shopify in mind. So you might actually already have some of those. But if you don't, like this is where we bought our card readers, also for the events. They also have rentals. If you're just looking for an event or a pop-up, you can just rent the hardware too. But if you don't have anything, just basically purchase from them, and they support everything.
By the way, we'll share all links that we send in the chat in our community. Like everyone will get a recap email, you'll get all links, and you get the recording. So you can rewatch, and yeah, hopefully it, it helps. If more questions come up, you can always reach out.
Stop presenting for quick. Yeah, any more questions we can answer? I know this was a lot, and the other thing is, I think this is just like intended to have a baseline, and then obviously there's businesses that need customization options. There's businesses that need multiple locations,
or
like
more
then
apps. We didn't talk about
apps.
that yet.
There's gonna be like, we're already working on like an entire section just for apps, from like the sales channels to the analytics ones. There's so much good stuff, but it's also, I wouldn't stress too much about them before actually launching. I think it's really important just to launch, have something your family can take a look at, your friends. Maybe you already have customers, they're waiting for it. Just have them take a look and
test it out.
There's also nothing that can happen. Like, it's the thing, like we notice, like it can feel really like a big step to launch something. Just keep in mind, you can always talk to people. If something breaks, maybe you didn't expect an order like this, just talk to the customer saying, hey, notice we weren't ready yet. Maybe we refund you. But most of the time, I actually realize people are really understanding. They don't want their money back. They're really patient. And that's the worst thing that can happen. It's just a refund. You don't have to worry about this. And you can just test and improve your site. And I would even say, once you're live, that's the last thing I want to share with you. Once you're live and you want to make changes, I would then recommend creating a duplicate of your store or of your theme, so you don't necessarily mess with the store that's currently live. Create a duplicate of it, make the changes to it, and once you say, all right, this is good, this is finalized, then you can publish the second one, rename it V2, or if you have something specific like a homepage banner, and then you can publish it, and you don't make, like, nothing's gonna break.
Awesome. If there are no more questions.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we're looking good. You're very welcome. I'm excited. I think we're going to do this more often. This might be Also, good inspiration for us to actually get started on the Shopify School video series. We might actually use some of them for that. And obviously, we appreciate your feedback. If there's anything afterwards that you didn't understand, you want more information on, just let us know. This is, I think, what we're going to do more of now, just create more educational content and hopefully give you all the tools you need.
When you connect payments, where do they go? So you can connect your business bank account. You can connect your PayPal. There are a couple of options, and it would be under your settings and then payments, I believe. Is it payment or billing? 1 second.
And I think
billing it is.
And I think they have a payment. They used to have like a payment cycle that you can say. It's like once they pay you out once a week. So Shopify will hold the money, and then and I remember I think we had like once.
You can
a week.
even do like next business day. Like it depends on your preference, or like every other week.
But basically, it first is gonna go into the Shopify account, and then whatever you put in the settings, they then actually forward the money to you. Excluding I think the payment processing fees and all of that.
Or like shipping.
Right.
Yeah.
So they do the math for you, and then whatever ends up on your account is then the money you are actually also keeping.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. You know where we are. You can always message us. We actually really appreciate guys having you in the community, and I know some of you already were there at the last webinar, and I think it's like we love what's happening in there, and we're excited to send out an email with this recording, and I see you guys in the community.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.